Okay, so let's get started with the first solo on the record, which is the one that sort of comes in the introduction. Um, it starts on the B string at the 19th fret, so I'm going to call this B19. B string on the 17th fret, B17, etc., etc. Okay, so let's do the whole solo, the beginning of the solo, and then we'll break it down. Okay, so we start B19. Let's play the phrase first, then break the little phrase down. Okay. Okay, that's the first bit. So B19, E17, E19, E back to E17, back to B19. Nice and easy. Then the next bit is this. Okay, so we've done. Then we go E17, B19, B17, B15. So now we've got. Then the next part of the phrase is. Okay. So we're just going from B17 to B15, G16 to D14, and back up to G16. So all in all you've got and you actually finish off on this note, sorry, it's A14. Slide down. Okay, so the whole thing again. And up to speed. Okay. Okay, so the next part of the lick is the next lick in the solo rather is this. So we start on high E, the 7th fret, but I play it like that, sort of bar the strings because it makes playing the rest of the riff easier. So E7. Okay. So pull off from the G9 to the G7, and then D9. So far we got this. Then we go back to the G7, D9. Then we go D7, finish on the D9. E string, G string, D string, G string, D string. Up to speed. Alright, next one. Okay, so we're playing in the 12th and 14th box, fret, sorry, and we're on the 5th and the 4th strings, okay. So what he's actually playing here is a hammer on from the 12th, from A12 to A14, and then a pull off straight after that from D14, D14 to D12. So it's. Then the way I play it is I hammer onto the hammer on from A12 to A14, keep my finger down, and then sort of just slide it down like that, so I come off the 5th string, so I don't sound it when I pull off here from the 14th, from D14 to D12. So the action's this. Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's that bit. Right, next part is So the first part is, so it's D7, open B, G7, open B, G7. Then the next part is, okay, that's B5 to G7, B5 to B7. So far we have then the next bit is, so it's E5, B7, B5, G7. So far we've got and then the last bit is just repeating that again. Really, it's just the B5. We finish on G7. So after all of that, you should have right. So the next part is this. So we start on B5, hammer on, and pull off on B7, and then we slide down to B3. Just one smooth action like this. And then the next part is, so it's a hammer on and pull off again from B3 to B5. Then to open B. So we've got this. Then we finish off basically with A2 to A4. Okay. Okay, so we've just done this. The next part of the solo is this. So it's just basically a hammer on from A7 to A9, D7 to D9, we play the G7 and then back to the D9. And that's it. Hammer on the 5th, hammer on the 4th, sorry, hammer on the A string, hammer on the D string. Then we go to the G7, back to D9. I sort of like to bend that very slightly, just like a quarter of a bend. Let's give it a bit of a blues feel. Okay, so that's that. So, the next part is this. So we're in the 7th and 9th frets. So it starts with a hammer on from D7 to D9, then we go to G7, so that's this, and then we do a pull off on the D string, so from D9 to D7, and then land on the A9. So far we've got this, and then another hammer on from A7 to A9, then we hit D7. So what we've got so far is this, and then we go, it's basically a pull off from A7 to A9, then we slide down to A5. So this is it all together. One more time slowly. Okay, so the next part is this. Sorry. So we start with a hammer on from A open to A2, then open D to D2 with a hammer on, then hammer on to D4. So you've got this. Okay, so the next bit is, yes, so we've got this so far. Then we go to G2, then back to D4. So we've got this so far. Then back to G2. Then the next bit is, okay, so G4 to G2, D4, D2, D4. So all in all we've got so the next bit goes okay, so we start on B3. Then we do a pull off from G4 to G2, and then we land on D4. The next bit is, so the next bit is, so after we go back to G2, then we come up and back up to the D4, and we do a pull off from D4 to D2, and then to D0, D open. So far we've got, okay, so the next bit is, so we do a hammer on from D2 to D4, and then pull it off down to D2, then D open, A2. So all of that lands up to one more time slowly. So the next bit is this. Okay, so it's A0, hammer on to A2. Then we play D0, 2, 4. Then D2. Then D0. So we've got then we hammer on D2, D4. And then hammer on, pull off back to D2. Yeah. That's at full speed. Okay, so the next bit is this. Whee. Okay, so the first bit is this. So start on B7 up to B10, slide, then slide from E7 to E5, then B7, E5, B7 again, B5, B3. One more time. Okay. And there we go. So that is B5 to B3, B0 to G2. And you can play the B there if you want, G4, or it's probably best to play it as an open B, B0, because that allows us to get to our next riff quicker. So it's this all together. One more time. Open B. Then the next bit is this. So the first bit is. So start on B5, hammer on to B7, pull off, and slide down to B3. And then a hammer on onto B5, pull off, so you got this. And then the B open, then G2 to G4, so you got this. One more time. Then it's this riff that we've done before. So just a reminder on that last one. B3, then we go G4, G2. You can pull off if you want. Then D4. So you've got this so far. Then we go back to G2. Then back to D4. So now you've got this. Then we go to D2, D0. So now you've got this. And then the next bit is. So that's just D2, D4, back to D2, D0, and then finish on A2. So slowly. Okay, that's it. And then we go into the next bit, which is. Okay, so the next bit is this. So the first three notes are B open, E open, B open. Then we play the D at 7. And then open E and D at 7 again. So you got this. And then we go B at the 5. So B at the 7, B at 5. So now we got. Then we go to D at the 7. So now you got. Then we go back to the D at the 7, and this time instead of playing the note there, we slide up. Okay, to the G on the 9. So now you got this. Yeah, one more time. Then we go to G7. And then we finish on D9. One more time. And And the next riff is exactly the same actually, except that instead of finishing on D9, you finish on G9. Okay, so exactly the same, but you finish on G9. So it's this. Okay, one more time. Okay. So this is the last bit, you'll be glad to hear, is this. Okay, so 3 pull-offs from E7 to E5. Then 2 on B7 to B5. Then we land on G7. So you got this. Then it's an open B. Then you go G7, slide up to G9, and back to G7. One more time. So, and that's it for the first solo. Okay, so the next, is that in focus? Can't tell. Okay, so the next